Hey there. Just a quick note before we start. Today's episode of Separate Bathrooms contains discussions of miscarriage. If this doesn't feel safe for you to listen to, skip the discussion, which starts at around the 29-minute mark of the episode and goes for about 30 seconds. If listening to the topic raises any issues for you, we've included links and phone numbers for support in the description of this episode.
I get that high from negativity sometimes. So like if everything's going well in Sean and my relationship, I'll almost like search for a fight because it gives me that dopamine. It gives me like some kind of rush because you actually get more pleasure from negativity than positivity, which is ironic.
Hello and welcome to Separate Bathrooms. I'm Brahe-Daddo. This is my wife.
You love doing that intro.
I do.
And Daddo is my name.
You know,
My wife. Yes.
my wife. But I thought you were actually going to say my tone then. You love doing it because you get to sound like radio guy.
Oh, yeah, it's the radio guy.
Radio guy.
Yeah, your intro is always very radio.
Yeah.
Which is good.
And in this moment, I do want to acknowledge someone who passed away recently, Mr. Bert Newton. Mm-hmm. Because he was, well, we both worked with Bert in different ways through the years.
Well, only briefly for me once.
And I worked with him a few times, and I loved Bert.
Yeah.
And he was always so kind. And one thing, aside from how large Bert's head was,
Yeah.
which was, well, I remember first meeting him going, that guy's got the biggest cranium I've ever seen.
It's bigger in person, wasn't it?
It was, and he was a large man and a kind man. But that cranium, as I came to understand, was the reason why he had such a great voice, because the vocal
the echo
inside of that head, you know, and that's the one thing that I always marveled at Bert's tone and his timing of things and how he could handle any live situation.
Yeah.
I loved my time with Bert, and this came up again when I was just at the very beginning of that, because Bert always was so great at the top of a show, you know, the way he entered into something and gave that beautiful Bert quality, that velvet tone that he had, and he, like I said, he passed away a little while ago, and I just want to send my love to the family and gratitude for him, because there's no one like him. I mean, the business doesn't support, I don't think, the variety that Bert brought. You know, he came up in a time when radio was king and early TV and working with Graham Kennedy and did all those things. Straight guy, funny guy, actor, all those things. He could do it.
Age.
Yeah, he could do it all, and it was available to him. And to make a comparison to anyone today is lessening who he was. And he was just a massive figure who will be missed. And I think they're going to name the Gold Logie after him.
Are they really?
I believe so. There's certainly a push for it.
Oh, that would be beautiful. Because this is a relationship podcast, we can't help but mention their beautiful marriage. Him and Patty married for over 50 years and just in love right to the last
to the very
moments.
end. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. Really
beautiful. All right, on to today.
Yep.
Okay, we've got a great couple. She's no stranger to Aussie TV audiences. She busted out of the acting gates in 2000 with a Logie Award-winning turn in Home and Away. She's had success as a recording artist, and in 2006 she moved to Los Angeles to find acting success working on The Young and the Restless, and became a part of our household, Elle, as the blind bad girl in Pretty Little Liars. And our kids quote her incessantly from the movie Aquamarine.
Mm-hmm. So in 2011, she married her boyfriend, Sean. He is an actor, producer, and director. They married in a ceremony in Florence, Italy, which just sounds delightful. They have 2 kids now, and life has done, well, what life has done. And they've got a few interesting tales to tell. So let's bring Tammin Sursok and Sean McEwen into the bathroom. Sean and Tammin, thank you so much for joining us in the bathroom.
Welcome.
Hello.
From sunny Brisbane, joining us from up north, hey?
Yes.
Brizzy. Yes,
Yeah.
we're representing Queensland.
Yeah, very good.
He thinks he puts E on everything. He calls it Brizzy,
Yeah.
Brecky.
Brizzy, we're gonna open our Grizzy Prezzies on in Brizzy. We'll put our Kazi's on.
Everything's to him.
And eat.
You put a bicky in
Very
your cup of
endearing.
tea. You've got your bicky going instead of a biscuit. You
a
do
bicky,
bicky.
yeah.
Yeah.
Bicky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a biscuit.
Biscuit.
I knew what that was.
We have 3 kids, and all 3 of them were firstly aquamarine absolute word for word freaks.
Yeah.
Adore, and then they became Pretty Little Liar freaks. So when Cam said to them, "We were interviewing you," what was their response?
Look, really excited, really excited. But I remember when it was revealed to them that when they were into Pretty Little Liars, that you are actually Australian.
Oh,
and they were like, "Oh, she's Australian too." So you became even more of a hero.
Well, my husband, like every time my husband wakes up, he's like that.
I do. I'm
He's
so
like, I'm so
excited.
happy you're here and you're an Australian.
That's what they say every day. Are you guys listening to our morning conversations?
Yeah.
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 There you go.
Yeah.
Now-
we
now-
had an inkling.
Now grab a bicky and put it in my tea, please. Do a little dippy of the bicky.
Dippy of the Bicky.
And so Tammin, you're well known to us. You're part of our family almost through your television things. Like the girls were saying last night, oh yeah, they were quoting you from Aquamarine. I said, so it wasn't a small part. She said, well, she was one of the mean girls, but she was saying things like, oh, here come the Grandma Brigade and stuff like this. So they knew your dialogue. So Sean, mate, we know bugger all about you. So that, my friend, is all about
he's
to change.
So much better than I am.
All about
I still
to change.
don't know anything about myself either. So we're very much alike.
Well,
I'm still
let's explore
self-discovery.
this.
It's all about
I'm like
self-discovery.
15 years. I'm like, who are you?
Exactly.
Well, that's right. You've been married for 15 years. So Sean, tell us, where are you from? What were your dreams and wishes growing up?
My dream was
How'd you get to here? How'd you get to
was
Brisbane?
to meet in Australia, move to Brisbane, and live happily ever after. And guys, manifestation dreams come true. So that's what we've learned.
There you go.
No,
Dude.
all joking aside.
So
and
where did you grow up?
I grew up in essentially the Midwest and the South, the Ozarks in the States. And then from there, I was very fortunate to make my way to New York for a few years and then Los Angeles and then meet this lovely lady in Los Angeles. I literally plucked her off the boat when you came over.
I was so young. I literally just arrived into the U.S. and we met, and that was like 15 years ago.
So long story short, I'm a writer and a producer and director in the film business. I met Tammin on a film many years ago, which was a great experience, and then have been fortunate to build a life with her. And then we made our way out to Australia. She got a job offer for a feature that she just shot, and we've been here ever since. And literally fallen in love with it. It's been great.
Wonderful.
So you said you met on a film set, and Tammin, that was when you just arrived in the States. So you'd you did Home and Away, then you had quite a successful time recording, and then you got to Hollywood, and so you guys met on your first job. Was it love at first sight?
Well,
how did that go?
To my husband it was. Okay, so I arrived in the States, thinking that you'd come from a successful TV show and you come to America and you think, everything's going to open. I'm very, very young at the time. I was like 20, 21 years old. And I got there and just like no one gave a crap. Like I literally had to start over. I had to start from the bottom up, go to hundreds of auditions. No one cared, which they shouldn't have. Like no one knew what I had done in Australia. So like I was really, really having a tough time when I first got there. And then I remember like all my money had been tied up in Australia in property. And so when I got to the States, my parents were kind of helping me out for like, the first couple of months I was there. And my dad put me in this apartment, in Beverly Hills, but it was a tiny little apartment. It was like a studio, like, with a kitchen that was in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And he was like, but as long as you're in Beverly Hills, you'll be safe. And I'm like, thanks, Dad. Like, I'm like in this tiny crap hole in the middle of like all these beautiful cars and whatever, but I couldn't buy anything. And then I remember my parents calling and they said, you know what, like, we love you so much, but like, we're done. We're done, like, helping you out. Like, you're 21 years old. You can sell whatever you have in Australia or you can keep it or whatever, but we're not going to help you out anymore. Like, it's up to you. And I remember just going like, I don't even know how I felt religious-wise back then, but I was just like, Lord Jesus, please, if you can hear me, like, please give me a job. And I like cried and I was like, I'm going to have to go back to Australia. Not that there was anything wrong with going back, but I was like, I didn't want to go back and had failed. I really wanted to go back and to have made something of like I left my family, I left my friends, I didn't know anyone. And so I was like, I just need to get a job. And the next day I got a call from my agent. I actually was on the shortlist for 3 jobs. One was Young and the Restless, which I was on for 4 years. The other one was a show called Rules of Engagement as like a couple of episodes. Yep. And the other one was Sean's film. Oh. And I remember they said, like, you have to choose between Sean's film. He wrote it and directed it, called The Farm. And they were like, you got to choose between that film, which I loved. The writing was incredible, or Young and the Restless, which was like 3 to 4 year contract and was going to change my life in other ways because I could have got a green card. So I was like, I didn't know what to do. And Young and the Restless was not going to let me out to do Sean's film. And I was like, you know what? I'm probably going to have to take Young and the Restless. I think that's what I said. Yeah, I was going to have to do it. My agents obviously wanted me to do that. And then the world was meant to be, because if that had happened, I never would have met really. We would never have fallen in love.
From the other room next
I wouldn't
door.
have been yelled at from my kid next door. And I remember them saying, like, okay, we're going to make it work. You can go for 4 weeks and you can do this little film or whatever it was, which was like life-changing to me. It was the best experience ever. Obviously, I met my husband. So I remember landing we shot it in Missouri, which is the Midwest, which is where Sean is from. And I remember saying, like, the first thing I said to you was like, are there tornadoes? Are there tornadoes here? Because are they going to kill us?
I think you actually said, I quote, and I cannot do an Australian accent to save my life, so forgive me, but you're like, are they like twisters? And twisters, meaning like her point of reference was The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
And what she saw in The Wizard of Oz.
And the movie with Helen Hunt.
Oh, and the movie Twister.
The movie Twister.
Yeah,
I was
right,
like,
right.
oh my God, I know what a category 4 is. And I know that it happens in the Midwest. And he was like, no, it's fine. So he said to me that, like, he'd always had, like, when I walked in, we just left about a year ago. And we saw the paper of, like, when people audition, they, like, cross off who they like. And Sean was the director, so he crossed off people he liked. And next to my name, he wrote, and we still have this paper, he wrote, "She's the one." And that was before we'd even, like, that was just my audition. That was not even, like, obviously we hadn't got it romantically, together. And then I remember we rehearsed for 2 weeks, and it was on that second week that I remember. Do you remember this? We were going through the caves, because it was like a scary movie. We're going through the caves, and I look back, and he looked at me like, that second too long. Do you know what I mean? It was just like, he did not look away. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, is he interested in me? Like, I didn't even click. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I remember, and then he'll be able to talk because he's gonna think it went over differently. And then he walks up to my, like, hotel room that night, and he, like, knocks on the door. And this would have gone down very differently these days.
Yes, yeah.
In those days, 15
yeah.
years ago, this was totally fine. And so he knocks on the door, and he's like, I just want to let you know something. I was like, oh, hi, Mr. Director. Like, hi. And he's like, I think I'm falling in love with you. And this was like, I was like, what? And he's like, I think I'm falling in love with you. It was 2 weeks after we met. He's like, I think I'm falling in love with you. So I was like, well, come on in. I don't remember. Do you remember that?
I remember it like it was yesterday.
I thought your line was going to be something like, you wanted to know if there were twisters. Well, here I am, baby. I'm going to sweep you up.
Right, exactly. I was just doing a twister check. That's why I came in here, just to do a twister check. Make sure you're okay. That's the only reason I'm at your door.
But I also remember, like, he tried to kiss me. I don't know if it was that day or the next day. But he tried to kiss me.
This sounds horrible.
It does sound horrible.
Out of context. There's more to the story.
It does sound horrible. But I was, like, trying to, like, play so coy. Do you remember? And I, like, made you wait, like, 2 hours to try. Every time you tried to kiss me, I was like, no, I can't. I can't do it. I can't do it.
I'm like, but I'm so passionate for you, Tammin.
And then he kissed me, and that was it. That was
the only good saving grace.
What is the saving grace?
Because this story now translating 15 years later sounds horrible, but we are still together and we have 2 children. Yes. So I think we're in a safe zone now.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, that sounds pretty suspect. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm glad we told that story. Thanks, guys. I'll be getting a call from my attorney or something. Yeah. Sure,
What was it for you, Sean, then 2 weeks later? And I don't know if you had many conversations with her, but what was it that you went, I am falling in love with you? What was it about Tammin?
I mean, I'd love to. No, I would love. Yeah, right. Just the
only person available.
I was, trying to fall upward, and there she was.
Oh, that's the nicest lie. You're a big liar.
No, it was all kidding aside. Listen, I think I it was funny because, and sounds kind of goofy and cheesy, but myself and the other producers, and again, there were female producers as well. We all quote unquote fell in love with her when she walked into the room. She had something, and I think it was just something that really beguiled all of us, and we were all very smitten, and it was what we were looking for the film. And I think that did translate into, look, there was just a connection, and from there, we kind of built on that.
We literally moved in a week later after the movie was wrapped. We bought a dog together. So we rescued them.
It was done.
You were so young, and you did how many years you did 4 years on Home and Away, is that right?
Almost 5. Mm-hmm.
And you won the Logie Award for Best New Talent. Yes. Were you ready for all that attention at that age? I mean, it's a very young age to be thrown into public.
I'm a Leo. Yeah. Look, if now I've done a lot of therapy. I think therapy is amazing, trying to find out about yourself. I had to grow into an adult really fast. I was just turned 16 years old. So just kind of like being 15, I was in grade 9. I look at my daughter and I'm thinking about her in grade 9 and I'm like, she's a child. And I was emotionally and mentally and still physically in a way a kid. I wasn't like that Britney Spears song. I wasn't a girl. I wasn't a woman, but I wanted to do this so much. I wanted to be an entertainer since I was 4 or 5 years old. Like it gave me it's what I think I was born to do. I get up in the morning. It's what I think about. It's what I eat, sleep, breathe. So it was the best opportunity and it was the best experience and it totally changed my life. But did it give me some issues later on in life? Absolutely. They say that having fame really young actually does cause trauma. Yeah. Because there's a lot of dopamine that gets released when you're very young. And also like when you're not ready for it, the brain only actually is fully developed at 25 years old. So when you're 16, I got a lot of attention. A lot of attention. I was also an overweight teenager. I had lost the weight just before I got Home and Away. So then I thought, okay, well, being a certain size was really important to me. It was really important for me to be successful. So then I had eating disorders when I was younger, early 20s. I didn't really know myself. I hadn't gone through the screw ups of lost love and relationships and kind of screwing up not in front of the camera. So it affected me. Like as I got older, I was like, wow, like, I have self-doubt. I, don't know if I'm good enough. I'm a perfectionist. If I don't work, like my value is in working. So if I'm not working, then I think I'm meaningless. So it's all these things that happen when you're so young and you're so prescient to like, your brain starts to form as who you are as a person. So would I take it back? Absolutely not. I probably should have gone into therapy a lot earlier to understand myself better. But there's definitely some scars, that's for sure. But
did you find therapy
in that makes sense?
Grateful's a great word. We love gratitude here. Were you getting therapy in Australia, or did that wait till you got to Hollywood?
No, America is very pro-therapy, and I actually think it should be. I think there's a stigma a little bit here in Australia for some reason, maybe less so now. I find working out is really good for your physical body, so why aren't we working out our minds as well? It doesn't mean you go to therapy because you've hit rock bottom. Every now and then we go once a month because it keeps our relationship really solid. It's like instead of just fighting and blaming and name calling, we're able to talk to someone and find tools and have strategies that we can actually like have a really healthy relationship. And I believe therapy is also, you can have a really healthy relationship with yourself, but you can't if you just keep falling on triggers and trauma. And we've all got it, right? Every parents, like we screw up our kids, they screw up their kids. And it's like we try to do better each time we try to do better, and hopefully our kids will do better than we did. But like everyone's got that. So it's like, you don't know why you keep self-sabotaging yourself. And I think therapy is great.
And for you, Sean, you've got, with Tammin working through the therapy, working through the anxiety, working through the eating issues. How is that for you as a partner? How do you support her through that?
I mean, I listen, I think, in some way it makes it sound like there's some big challenge on my end. I mean, she's amazing. I think we are. And what works is that we're a team, and we both have our good days and we both have our not so good days. Yeah. And somehow the universe aligns itself that when she's having a good day, so I'm having a bad day. So we can kind of boost and all that, So I think everything's about balance. Obviously, it's the cliches of it's about communication. I think for us, when you speak about therapy, whether it's individually or as a couple, it's tools. It's like I'll be the first to admit, like, I don't know how to build a table, and all I know is that you got to have some tools to build it, and so that's just kind of part of how our approach is, and it's everything is a work in progress,
And I think now, like, I think in relationships, what I've learned is, like, instead of saying you say I feel, and that has literally been a game changer. I mean, again, 15 years together, 10 years married. Relationships take work. People don't just stay together. Like it's 50%, I think they said, like ends in divorce.
Yeah.
So maybe it would be less, that percentage would be less if people knew how to communicate.
Was that part of your life, Sean, before you met Tammin? Were you into therapy?
No. I should have been, but
you
no.
didn't go to therapy?
No, I didn't go to, I
Really?
didn't. And I don't know why. I think, I mean, listen, I think in some way, to be completely honest, and I'm well over a decade older than Tammin is. I think and I don't mean to mislabel or over-label, but I think my generation, there was a stigma around it.
Yeah.
And not that not even a conscious one necessarily, but like, I'm a guy, like, bury your feelings. I'm not going to cry about that, and like, be a man up, and all that. So that was, for better or worse, was definitely more the approach and probably the perspective and approach that I took. Until you start to realize, like, man, again, like Tammin said, you got to work your stuff out, and you a lot of times don't be afraid to ask for help or seek help or support to do that. And I think it's been very beneficial to a healthier life.
I think it's so detrimental to just humanity as a whole to just tell men to not feel. Like it affects your children, it affects your spouse, it affects you personally as a man. Like, it's like, when did we come to the conclusion that emotions were so negative? Like, why? Why can't you feel? Look, we're in our household, we're all about, like, feel the emotion, then move through it. Like, don't get stuck, because I think the problem is, like, when you get stuck in that emotion and then just it's a perpetual cycle, and it's like for the next month you're still thinking about the thing. It's like, move through it, like actually physically move, but it's really toxic, and like it's that word toxic positivity of like just telling you that don't feel sad for today. Don't let that affect you. Don't cry about it. Although I have only seen my husband cry like 3 times. But
and one time was right before this interview started.
Yeah, I made him cry just before we started.
You will
little
feel
misty-eyed.
before this interview.
You must tell them things.
I was like, I'm so scared. Help me.
I'm hurting you under the table.
Yeah, she's literally pinching me right now.
He used to say to me, he used to be like, you're trying to make me cry just to see if I can do it. And I was like, when I was younger, I was like, maybe.
Maybe a little bit. I need to know you love me on a scale of 1 to cry, to weep,
1 to cry.
to bawl. Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, I like that sliding scale. That's good. That's a good scale.
It's a good sliding scale.
1 to cry.
Yes.
On your Instagram handle, Tammin, you've got anti-bullying, relatable parenting, mental health advocate, hormone enthusiast, and sex positive. Plus, you've got your own podcast called Women on Top.
Yes.
That's a lot. I love all that. There's nothing even that kind of mentions about the acting. It's all. Do you feel that that's sort of more your role in life these days than the acting is more advocacy for that sort of
Well,
thing?
actually, the first thing is actor. I think it's actor, mama, content creator. So I definitely think first and foremost, I'm an actor. But that being said, I've been so blessed that our social media has grown to the millions. And with that is a responsibility. And that responsibility, back in the day, it used to be just like post cute pictures of me in a magazine, right? And it was like, just because probably it made me feel better and made people go, oh my gosh, you're so great, you're on that TV show. But now I'm like, I can do something with 2 million people. I can help people, and I can talk about what I struggle with so that someone feels less alone and less isolated. And I didn't do it for that feedback, but every time I get mired in like social media and the engagement and is it worth it, and I don't want to share too much about my life, I think about those comments of people saying, you helped me start a fitness journey and it changed my mental health. And, I was in a really bad place that was suicidal, and you made me laugh through your reels. And again, that's a lot of weight to bear, because I also say to my followers that do not look at my life. I'm not like a savior. I'm not like, please don't look at me like I can fix these things for you. But what I can do is make you feel like I'm like you. And, the things I talk about are just the things that are very honest. I think hormonally, as you get older, like we don't talk about it enough. I'm very sex positive. I've always been. And I thought it was so shameful to like sex, for women to like sex, because we were told that, women are just kind of there when the man wants sex, then, you're just available, or you're tired, or you've got your kids. But like we don't talk about women like wanting that.
Yeah. Or we're labeled something different if we like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like they want something, or they want to discuss it, or they want to have a better sex life. Yeah. My husband's very he doesn't like to talk about all the things. So I make sure that when I speak about our experiences, it's about me. It's not about like him involved, because he's like,
you call me puritanical.
Yeah, a little bit. He doesn't want to, be part of that conversation, which I can understand. But I can help someone through my own experience.
I'm wearing a chastity belt below. You just can't see it right now, but
we still haven't had sex. It's so weird. It's been 15 years. One day.
We're stating for just the right time. Once we get through all this therapy, we'll be there.
Yeah.
And then we'll call you guys and let you know we're there. And then we'll let you know how it goes.
One time. One time.
You've got Phoenix and Lennon, your daughters. How would you feel about them following in Tammin's footsteps as actors?
That's a great question, and that's a hard one that I can't give 100% answer on. I can tell you observationally that, first of all, I have seen the wonderful possibilities that it provides, as far as opportunities and experiences. So in that sense, wow, like, who wouldn't want that for their child? On the other side, you see the not so great side, and you see the, hyper self-awareness and the, sensitivity, and you're putting yourself out there, the negative stuff that is said about you out there. So, and as parents, we want to protect our children from all of that and then some. So it is that fine balance. I mean, look, maybe you guys can relate to this. I obviously not knowing your 3 kids, but I can only imagine at least some of them, are influenced by the fact that you're involved in the arts, and that kind of finds its way into their lives and their interests. And that's happened for us already. So we do see our kids wanting to perform. Maybe they just see what happens in our household. So we can't stop them from it, nor would we. But yeah, it's, I think, just keeping that eye on it all.
It took me 30 odd years. I got my brain scanned. It's like it's called a SPECT scan, SPECT. And what they do is they scan your brain. They give you like this radioactive dye that lights up like the pleasure centers and all the centers in your brain. And then they see like what's going on in there. And and I'm sure you guys have had the same experience, or your brain would look the same. It's like you're searching for that dopamine rush because you're so addicted to it from, growing up in the business, that you're searching for the high, right? And for me, the high hasn't been drugs or alcohol, but for a lot of people, they fall into that, and we would never want our kids to fall into that. Or or it's like sex addiction or whatever. For me, I think it's like I get that high from negativity sometimes. So like if everything's going well in Sean and my relationship, I'll almost like search for a fight, because it gives me that dopamine. It gives me like some kind of rush, because you actually get more pleasure from negativity than positivity, which is ironic. So I think that, that part of it could affect our children. And like, I don't want them to suffer, because there's been parts of, I think, mental health that I've suffered. I don't want them to suffer like me, or even you in the business. It's a hard one, Yeah.
There's so many things as a parent that you heard before you were a parent or while you're a parent that you're like, oh, that's such a cool. I just want my kids to be happy. And then you realize
that's all you want.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want them to be happy, because that's kind of everything. It's just, and you also realize you can't make your kids happy.
Yeah.
But hopefully you can provide a healthy atmosphere so they can grow and express themselves and become themselves and grow into the amazing people hopefully they can grow into. But that's truly what you want.
Yeah, that's our baby in the background.
How old are the kids?
2.5, and she just turned 8. My first Phoenix just turned 8, and Lennon is 2.5.
You've got a good spread there.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't our intention. We had tons of miscarriages between the two of them. So I was actually pregnant for 2.5 years before I was pregnant with her. So they would have been closer. But, sometimes I say, I always say to Sean, I'm like, well, we wouldn't have gotten this baby. We wouldn't have gotten her if we had the other ones. So, yeah, I mean, like, I think miscarriage is also something that's very important to talk about because women go through it a lot.
Absolutely. Going back to what you said, Tammin, about, the dopamine hit and searching for the negative, are you aware now that you're in that loop of like, here it comes again, I'm looking for the negative? Is that something that you're conscious of now, or is it after the fact?
I think that apparently we can only process consciously like 100 things, but like subconsciously there's like 2 billion things going on. So I think that subconsciously a lot of this happens to me. Like I search for that negative subconsciously. It's not a conscious thing. But while I'm in it, I have now been able to learn how to stop it in its tracks and then say to Sean, like I'm obviously being triggered and I'm searching for the negative. But it's hard because he now sometimes says like, are you doing the thing where you're searching for the negative and then you get defensive?
Yeah.
They're like, no, I'm not. I'm just mad about it. So, there's definitely a fine line, but I would definitely say that now in my life, I'm very self-aware, probably too self-aware, which can be really annoying. But I do think that I search less. I'm not on medication. I don't think it's right for me, but there's definitely things you can do that can help those things and make me fight with you less.
Hey guys, we do a thing called the 2-minute shower in the bathroom, and it's where we ask a series of questions. Yeah, we keep our answers. Yeah, so if you can each answer the question as briefly and succinctly as you can, that'd be great. Question number 1, what's your best quality?
Probably, I was going to say my ability to make people feel loved, like loving.
I think this sounds so boring, but I think for me, it's like friendship, like being a good, loyal friend. Why are you laughing?
Because I
you disagree.
But I know, but like, are we friends? Like,
yes,
is that?
I think first and foremost, we're friends.
No, we're lovers. What the hell?
But we're also
That's
friends.
our problem. Mine's loving and yours friendship. That's why we like.
My best quality is agreeing with everything.
And our love languages are completely different. Like totally different.
Is there one moment in your life that you would like to revisit?
I think I would like to go back to my 20s and been kinder to myself. I put myself down so much when I was in my 20s. I thought I was so unattractive, like not talented, like not a good wife. I had a lot of negative self-talk, which I think happens a lot when you're growing up. And I think I wish that I enjoyed it more.
I think for me, it's funny when you said revisit, she thought of it in kind of a positive context. I was thinking, do I have a regret?
Yeah.
But you want to think, I didn't have
coming
any
to my
regrets
hotel room.
Yes, that one night, yes. But I think mine, so I took it a totally different way. But my one regret, I was just talking to a friend about this, was when I was in my freshman year of college, and we were about to start finals, which was a lot of pressure in that little world of college and doing your first year of finals and all these. And then I had another dorm mate who said, let's just, excuse my French, let's F it. Let's just forget our finals and let's go on a road trip to James Dean's grave. We'll drive there all night. We'll be so cool. We'll like sit by his grave. We'll like
didn't do well.
And I was literally on the precipice of walking out the door with him. Let's go. And I said no. And I regret it to this day. Not so much.
I thought you were going to do your finals.
But because I look back on like the college thing. Who cares? It would have been such a cool story.
Sean, finish your college. Oh my God. What would you told your kids to do?
Then I went to James Dean's grave.
You could do that anytime.
No,
you could do that anytime.
No regrets.
All right, no regrets. All right, you guys are both in the entertainment business. So what do you choose? What's your preference, movies or bingeable TV shows?
It's different these days. It's such a hard answer because we would always have said movies.
Movies all day long for me, no matter what.
But I think that because TV is like now mini movies with the best writing, that I'd probably choose TV now because I enjoy TV more now than I do seeing movies because movies right now are just big blockbusters because that's all they can afford to do.
Support your local cinema.
Oh my God. But yes, support your local cinema.
All right, next question.
Who do you admire?
Sean.
Oh, you guys.
I actually do. I mean, like, look, I give him a lot of crap and shit, but But I actually do admire, like, my parents for sure. My mom just wrote 2 books. And so like she's always reinventing herself. So, and my dad started from nothing and created a very successful business. So that was what I looked up to. But I will say I try not to have too many idols because I want to create my own path. But I do think I could be, you're better than me, like, as a person.
No, that's not
No,
true.
you are.
But I would say back to Tammin's parents, that who I admire is her both her parents very much. But her father has been like a true father figure. I didn't grow up with a father figure in my life, and he literally took me under his proverbial wing and has been extraordinary to me and changed my life. And I've learned so much from that man. So I'm very, very blessed.
That's why you stay with me.
And grateful.
Grateful.
Yes.
There you go. I love it. What song or artist do you put on to calm down?
Adele.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a country music guy.
Oh, you are.
So, like,
that's true.
Country music it's just enough of a little bit of a taste of the States for me that while I'm doing the Australia thing. So that's kind of nice.
He said yesterday, he's like, I miss pickup trucks and country music.
Okay, last question. Your partner in one word.
The first word is kind.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say loving.
Oh, give me a kiss.
Oh,
No, you don't. You can give me one kiss.
No,
What's that song?
You're
On your
not
cheek.
forceful.
He hates public displays of affection. Like, just one kiss. Oh my goodness. Who cares? It's one kiss. Oh my goodness. Like a peck. I'm not like making out with you. That wasn't even a kiss. That was a fake. It wasn't even.
Guys,
that was,
I got so tingly.
oh my,
Sean!
Sean!
I'm not tingly that way. Like, just a reminder how much
They're like, goodbye. Oh, your heart. Oh, your heart.
There's different kinds of tingly.
So your heart. Sorry.
See, your sex positivity took you right down that road.
That's right.
Your heart. Your heart.
Kind and loving. We just witnessed that for the last 10 seconds. That was awesome.
Oh, you two, thank you so much for your time. We will let you get back to your 2 gorgeous girls and Brisbane. But thank you so much for spending time with us in the bathroom.
You guys were amazing.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for your time.
What a surprise. A surprise in terms of I was not expecting that kind of honesty and that engagement from those two.
Yeah.
Sean is a terrific guy, and Tammin, what a lovely girl. Who would have thought, after Pretty Little Liars being such a meanie?
Yeah, I love the depth that she's sort of delved into herself and gone, searching for things, what drives her, what's driven the anxiety, the bullying, that she's really continued to unwrap that for herself and is really working. A lot of people suffer from ADHD. And I looked through her Instagram and she talks about it a lot. She's really open and honest about it. And as they both said, if you can hear someone else's story, it makes you feel normal. And I love that. I think that's a very gracious and giving way to be.
And if you actually want to see a really great video of Tammin going through it with Dr. Amen, it's on her Instagram and it's actually 20 odd minutes, really well spent.
Really, really good. She mentions it, that it's the SPECT thing where she takes in the radioactive and things light up in the brain and very good.
They go through the scans together. It's a really great post in Tammin's Instagram. We'll pop it in our show notes for you. So you've got
absolutely.
it there.
Follow it down. And I just, I know we've spoken about this before. I just do love hearing about more couples doing therapy. And as she said, it's not about that the house is burning down and we're in dramatic therapy of trying to save the marriage. It's just like a check-in. As you work out your emotions. Work out physically, you work out your emotions as well. And I think that's just a really great tip.
Much better to catch things when they're small rather than it's very hard to put. But very hard to put the cat back into the hat, So you catch them when they're small and do it with a pro.
Yeah. Cat back into the hat. Okay.
Hard to put a cat back into the box. I don't know, I'm thinking of Dr. Zeus.
In any box. I don't know why the cat's in the box actually, but
well, maybe you've been holding it in the box.
Why is the cat in anywhere?
Yeah, see, Ali has trouble speaking. I have trouble with my analogies. It's all good here in the bathroom.
We'll break that down later. All right, thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye for now.